Hello, today is Saturday, March 7th, 2026, and today is the 18th day of Lent. Today's a unique day because I spent the first 2 hours of today in my stillness meditation and I journaled after that, but I also slept after that. Because last night was our Break the Ground event at City Church, and from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., I was in worship and prayer. And at midnight, I spent the first 2 hours of the day in stillness meditation, and then the next hour, I journaled. Last night was really good. I got a lot kind of out of it, and in the moment it was very invigorating and got a lot of spiritual joy out of it, and community building, and then ultimately just I think in part it's kind of like a long night out dancing. It is beneficial in the moment, tiring the next day, but has long-term benefits as well, both in like health and then the mystery of the unknown, mental and physical health and the mystery of the unknown. And so that's what last night was, in part for me, in my psychological process. It was an endurance challenge. One, to stay in a worship and prayerful state and mood, attitude for 12 hours straight. And so there was that endurance side of it. And I broke it up in, I may be slower today because I got home at 6:30 and then woke up around 10:30 and just like I was just up. I couldn't go back to sleep. So didn't get a full night's rest, but anyways, I planned it out. It loosely planned it out that I spent the first 2 hours worshiping, but also a little bit like getting into the mode, getting into the spirit and the attitude, dropping in, and also I was a little bit in work mode because while I didn't necessarily have any major responsibilities, I did have some responsibilities. One, just being a staff member, being there, making sure everything is taken care of and running smoothly. Rachel was feeling horrible, and so even though she was there, I needed to like make sure that I didn't need to step in on anything. And then making sure the cameras were going, the live stream was going, the lyrics were happening, all of that, which took some mental space up in the first 2 hours. And the thing that took the most mental space, or the most time within the 2 hours, was for about 20 minutes. I got my camera out and I had to film. There they were doing 2 original songs that they were audio recording and wanted some like additional video of it. So not saying that my skill, talent, running camera, that type of thing is a form of worship, but it's a different type of worship than, everybody else in the room, which I can also participate in. So, but the first 2 hours were spent in worship, but also a little bit in work mode, and then just kind of, dropping into prayer. But then the next 2 hour block, I spent just in pure worship, and like praise and worship, singing, moving my body, then giving myself over to that. The next 2 hours, prayer, like walking prayer and standing mostly. And so it was like the first 6 hours, the first half, I tried to stand up as much as possible. I tried to be on my feet and to not sit for basically to stand to stand the entire time. But it wasn't like a hard fast rule that I had to stand. Whenever people were praying and stuff, I sat down. But it was like standing and walking and dancing worship for the first 6 hours, with each 2 hour block being a little bit different. And then at midnight, this transitioned into the stillness half. And so for the first 2 hours, I went into my meditation, my stillness contemplative prayer meditation, and I dropped in quickly on that. I had already prepped myself for 6 hours to be in that space, so it was like very easily just dropped in, and was it easily was like, if we're quantifying it, the best meditation of Lent so far. Shouldn't judge these things, but if I'm trying to quantify for language in any way, it takes a little bit of judgment. And I would say this was like the most dropped in, the most focused. But one pre-story before I say something is in the 2 hours. Oh gosh. In the 2 hours before midnight, something that happened in there was my friend Andy asked me to pray for him because he wants to slow down and find stillness and find a quiet mind. So I prayed with him to find a quiet mind. And then after we sat for a while, I told him some practical advice. And I told him the practical advice that I journaled a couple days ago, of if to just try to stay as still as possible, even through pain, even if you have an itch, to don't move. Just notice that the pain is happening. Notice that the itch is happening. Focus on it turn your attention to it and see how it feels, and let it turn to heat and dissipate and that type of thing. So I tell him this, and then did like a standing meditative prayer for the next hour, and then midnight hits and I go into my 2 hour stillness, and almost immediately my back is on fire. Like really bad back pain. And it was there for an hour and a half, and I did not move. Like, I technically shifted my weight and adjusted my posture, but I did all of that very, very slowly, very intentionally, but didn't like, I didn't lift my weight up. I didn't shift my overall body posture. Didn't open my eyes, didn't move my hands. I stayed as still as possible and just endured this back pain that was like, it would be hyperbole to say it was excruciating, because I mean, it wasn't, but it was a lot of back pain, very, very uncomfortable, and it was there the entire time. And whenever I shifted my posture, it like shifted in my back. I mean, it was all like mid to lower back, and whenever I shifted my posture, it shifted a little bit in different spots. So it was like, it didn't necessarily alleviate it as much as it just moved it to a new spot. But it did not go away. And then I also had a pretty intense itch right here on my crevice of my nostril. That did go, like, it wasn't there the whole time, but I did have to like endure it as well. And just, it's like one of those, it's just funny because I literally had just told him this practical advice that, to sit with it, pay attention to it, and it'll go away. Or if it doesn't go away, you just learn to respond to it, not react to it, and then also just let it be a part of the symphony of everything that is happening. And then God gave me the opportunity to practice that immediately, and I did. And that I wanted to make it a full hour before I like did any major shifting, before I got up or changed my overall body posture or anything like that, stretched, and ended up going an hour and a half, because like, as I was in it, I was in it. I mean, I was distracted by the pain, but even despite the pain, I did go deep into the meditation, and I was there focusing on my breath and deep in the mantra meditation and full body scanning. And it was, like I said, it was the best, in whatever ways you can quantify it, the best meditation of Lent so far, even with this intense back pain. But I kept telling myself, like, because I didn't even I wanted to like make it an hour before I even peeked at the clock. And I had my phone turned upside down to where I would have to actually reach over and touch it to know how long it had been. And the only other clock in the room, I'd have to turn my head completely, not around, but I'd have to turn it completely sideways in order to see it. So in order to see what the time it was, I would have to physically move, not just open my eyelid a little bit. And I kept telling myself, it hasn't been an hour, it hasn't been an hour. And by the time it got to the point where I really needed to go use the restroom, and I endured that for as long as possible too. And it got to the point where I was like, okay, I need to go get up and go pee. And so I checked the time, and it had been an hour and a half. So for an hour and a half, just endured and meditated through and dealt with that. And then while I was in the bathroom, I just like stretched my back as much as I like could standing up. Really felt like I needed somebody to give me a good squeeze or a back roller. But I went back, and for another 25 minutes, went back into the stillness meditation, and there was still a little bit of tension in my back, but it was nothing like, not even close to the first hour and a half. Um, so yeah, there was that. And then whenever that 2 hours was up, I journaled, and I journaled for 3 pages, which ended up being just over an hour. And then uh, for the next hour, I went. I did basically another. I got back on my meditation mat and uh, meditated, but it wasn't. St- it, w- I, it wasn't stillness meditation. I did a lot of like swaying, swaying and shaking meditation. It's like the same mental uh, as as a stillness meditation. Like it's the same, like focusing on the breath, and it's all of that is the same, but letting the body get into a rhythmic sway, either sideways or front ways or back, and switching off between them, and then also some like shaking. And even though the body is active, and I didn't, if I was alone, I probably would have shook more, and more like, not only more in quantity but also more in intensity. But I could easily be observed, and that, I think, that kept me from going in full shake mode, so as not to be too much of a distraction. But in those moments, no matter what the intensity of the shake is, like the swaying and the shaking, even though externally the body looks as though it is very busy, my mind is very quiet. And it's like a different form of meditation. It's almost, uh, this is probably too large of a leap to be the truth, but it's like almost like an EMDR type situation, where it's like the mind is very focused, but the body has some like really active movement. So I mean, I guess uh, it's a somatic movement practice of, in the same with dance. It's like, in dance, my body um, is vigorously moving, and I can be very internally at peace and quiet, and still on the inside, even though I'm cutting a rug. Same with um, movement meditation. I don't know what the official, if there even is an official word for it, but same with like a movement meditation, where I'm shaking or swaying. It's like this somatic movement practice of, um, I've seen uh, I've seen Orthodox Jews, and maybe even other denominations. I don't know what denominations or types of Jews. I don't know how they, uh, what word they used to describe the different groups of Jewish practices. But anyways, just I've seen some videos of people praying at the Wailing Wall, or just even in the synagogue at prayer times, that they will be in a somatic rhythmic movement, which keeps them focused and in the prayer, and that's very much the same thing. It's just it's a thing of biology, essentially, um, and it's helpful in a meditative or spiritual practice to remain um, still and focused in the mind. So, anyways, that's what I did for the next hour, and then for which took me to the last 2 hours. And in the last 2 hours, a full band was back on stage, and so for the last 2 hours, I went back into praise and worship, and it was also very movement based, but pacing and pacing and swaying and singing, singing out loudly and speaking in tongues. I mean, that was kind of throughout each, other than in the stillness meditations. I mean, I went into moments, I suppose, moments of, went into times of praying in tongues, and then times of agreeing in prayer, and times of interceding prayer, advocating prayer. And then in the 3 o'clock hour, I got up on the mic and I prayed. Prayed for everybody who wasn't there in the church, that God would wake them up that night, just so they know that God loves them and loves them enough to wake them up, to tell them and to give them. I also prayed to give them dreams and visions, to lead them on the next right step for their journey. And then I read Praise the Rain by Joy Harjo, because the night started, the first couple hours, the tornado sirens were going off, and it was stormy, and it was raining all night. And tornadoes actually did touch down in Tulsa, in North Tulsa, the North Tulsa TCC campus, I think is what it was. I don't know if it was a strong enough winds to like do a lot of rip the roof off and do a lot of damage. I don't know if it was an actual tornado that hit it, but tornadic winds. So it wasn't a false alarm. There were active tornadoes around Tulsa, which I also heard that there's a chance of that again tonight. Well, my weather app doesn't even have a chance of rain, so I guess that moved on. But anyways, I read Joy Harjo's Praise the Rain, and just after reading that, I said, that's the way the poet says it, but the way that I say it in a prayer is, and I prayed just a gratefulness prayer for the rain that nourishes the dirt, and the worms and the ants that nourish the dirt into soil, and the soil that nourishes the grass and the plants and the trees, which nourishes the air for the squirrels to breathe. And I'm thankful for the squirrels who bury the trees' nuts to grow more trees to feed more squirrels, and for the mystery of a cow eating the grass and growing into a tons of pounds animal for me to eat and grow my brain, so that I may know that I'm here, breathing, aware that I'm breathing, and aware that I'm breathing, and that I once was a ball of dirt and God breathed life into it, and I am of the earth. I am earth. Thank you for the rain. Thank you for the rain. And prayed that. I'll read you Praise the Rain by Joy Harjo. Joy Harjo, 2 times American Poet Laureate and native Tulsan, both in the native and the native Tulsan sense. Praise the rain, the seagull dive, the curl of plant, the raven talk. Praise the hurt, the house slack, the stand of trees, the dignity. Praise the dark, the moon cradle, the sky fall, the bear sleep. Praise the mist, the warrior name, the earth eclipse, the fired leap. Praise the backwards, upward sky, the baby cry, the spirit food. Praise canoe, the fish rush, the hole for frog, the upside down. Praise the day, the cloud cup, the mind flat, forget it all. Praise crazy, praise sad, praise the path on which we're led. Praise the roads on earth and water, praise the eater and the eaten. Praise beginnings, praise the end, praise the song, and praise the singer. Praise the rain, it brings more rain. Praise the rain, it brings more rain. So did that. And then the last 2 hours spent in active praise and worship and singing. And then it was like 6:05 when we ended. I stopped the live stream, turned off the projectors, and left, came home, took a shower quickly, and was in bed at 6:30, fell asleep, and then woke up. My computer audio was on, and I was getting notifications and text messages, so it was like bloop, bloop, bloop. And I'm pretty sure that's what ultimately woke me up, but I woke up around 9:30, I think, and then was like, heck no, I'm sleeping till noon. Went back to sleep and woke up around 10:30, and then laid in bed for a little bit. And then around 11, I got up, got ready, and I had decided last night I'd already decided in advance because I did it last week too, but that Saturday was like my Sabbath day where I break my fast, and I just broke it in part. What am I looking for here? Yep. Got up around 11 and got ready. And at 11:47, I ordered and went and got a Starbucks chai because I got a Starbucks gift card for Christmas. And I decided last night that I actually got a lot of joy thinking about that I was going to go eat lunch today whenever I woke up. But whenever I woke up, I wasn't really, I didn't have that energy to go out and do that. I didn't really want to be out. But I did have a breakfast burrito meal at home. And so as a part of my Sabbath pleasure stacking and breaking of the Lent fast, I had a chai and then ate the burrito here. And then after that, I've just been watching F1, Formula One, the practice and qualifying session, because the first race of the season is tonight in Australia. So that just gave me something to relax and do. So I was doing that. And then I had this urge that I wanted to have a snack today, and I walked to Dollar General right before I pressed record on this to get a little cheese and cracker tray. But whenever I got there and I looked at it, I was like, I don't actually want that. And so I just walked back. I didn't get anything, and then sat down to record this. But I think after this is done, I think I'm going to go to Quick Trip and see if there is a little snack to have. But I don't know what it'll be. I don't think that I want to do root beer yet. I think I'm going to, save that for, I don't know, there's something something about it. I just don't want to do that yet. But